Hi, everyone. Kumar Datatran here with the Meridian Point. It's holiday week, so if you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating, I hope you have a wonderful week this week. I have the pleasure today of introducing an old acquaintance of mine, Rafael Ribeiro. I hope I said his name right. He's an Agile coach, a surf instructor, creative entrepreneur, navigating one of life's most profound disruptions, reinventing the self. So I'm sure all of you at some point in your lives have gone through this, where you're in an inflection point in your career, in your home, in your personal or professional life, or maybe all of the above, all combined in one moment where you are sort of like the ashes rising up from the ashes, the phoenix rising up from the ashes. And today's episode is all about that. You know, what better time to be thinking about reinventing oneself except at the end of the year, as we celebrate life in the past year and celebrate the holiday traditions that we often do at this time of the year. So today's episode is all about that. Rafael has pursued his passion for people work through psychology, expressive arts therapy, and professional coaching. He's founded multiple ventures, including his Abundance Flow program, that merges surf instruction with personal transformation. Currently based in Portugal with his two daughters, Rafael recently shared his financial struggles publicly on LinkedIn, a vulnerable move that sparked unexpected support and new opportunities. Join us as we explore the Phoenix cycle of disruption, building, burning, and rising again. So without further ado, here's Rafa. Welcome to the show, Rafa.
Hey, Kumar, thank you for the invitation. Always a pleasure to have a chat with you.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun conversation. You said in one of our prior chats that the most powerful feeling you shared after sharing your financial struggles was lightness, that you're now an open book with nothing to hide. Walk us through that moment when you decided to share your vulnerability.
Definitely. I was talking with a friend today about this, and because he's also in tech, I made an analogy about the situation I was living. If I was a computer, I had two main processes happening at that time. One was my presentation layer, meaning how I would present myself to the world. And I was working in projects, I was coaching people, I was delivering training, I was even running the cohort around abundance. Mm-hmm. And the other was what I was feeling inside, this despair, this lack of identity, this financial struggle at the same time. And it was just too heavy of a load on my processors, on my computer. Mm-hmm. And when I shared, it was almost like going to Task Manager and killing the process of managing this mask of everything is okay, while inside it was not okay. And so it kind of like made my computer free to process other things that started to happen. Mm-hmm. And also this feeling of lightness of, okay, I don't have to deal with this internal struggle, which is external perspective versus internal perspective. I can live only one. And it was easier to live with that only one.
That's really profound and powerful. Were you fearful, or was it just an unconscious decision to open up the mask, open the armor, and reveal what you were feeling internally?
I was fearful. And while I was drafting the message that I was going to share, for many, many times I almost gave up. And what made me continue and pursue was actually tapping into the most instinctive and primal feeling there is, which is survival of myself, survival of my daughters. So that survival instinct overcame the fear. So when I shared, it was almost something practical. Like, I need to do this, otherwise I won't survive. The fear of losing whatever it was that I would lose, either the total respect or even care in my mind of my daughters, or making them lose anything because of my situation, overcame my fear of what other people would think.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I can see where it could be very liberating to be able to. I love the computer analogy, actually. Sort of like what you present to the world and what's going on under the surface, right? All these tasks that are running around in your brain, fighting for the light of day, perhaps. And what's keeping them at bay is your conscious, your conscious decision not to reveal those things.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many of us are able to, go to work or even at home, in our personal and professional lives, be a total open book. Now let's start with maybe the work situation. Right? Brene Brown has written about people wearing a mask at work and how over time that can really be debilitating to that individual. And so it's always useful to take the mask off, to show your vulnerability, to admit to the things that you don't know and you fear. And that's a great, leadership advice, a book that leaders read often and quote often. But I wonder how practical that is. And if for you certainly you came to a breaking point and you did this publicly, but how would that translate? What advice would you give people in the workplace that they can use and take away for next year?
So one of the things that people came to me to talk and after the video was that they felt not only courage, that I was being brave by sharing, also that I was doing from a conscious and also secure and grounded place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it needs to be like this, but because I had felt despair and I sought help privately with people that I cared about, and even those inner circles was difficult for me to actually share something because I was also feeling like I was failing them.
Yeah.
So that helped me deal with the despair and the emotional charge of that moment. So when I came out to say, hey, I am experiencing this to my professional network, I feel the emotional charge didn't came through because I have dealt with that previously. Mm-hmm. So maybe, and this is just me exploring, in a professional situation when you have to, I don't know, maintain some level of professionalism, being able to divide this complex problem into two smaller problems, which is, okay, what is the emotional charge I am feeling around what I'm experiencing, and deal with that either on a closer circle, on a circle outside of work, because not everyone may be able to handle this emotional charge. And then after you handle that emotional charge, then you can talk about the facts, not living the facts at the moment that you're talking, which I felt like that happened. When I recorded that video, it was almost like me reporting my situation and sharing it and not living the situation while I was recording the video. So maybe my message came strong, but also clear without the emotional charge of everything that I was experiencing.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I wonder, in the workplace especially, people may not feel safe to be vulnerable, right? There's an element of psychological safety there. And for you, you were able to record your message in the privacy of your home, really thinking through it and going through the fear cycles. What if I do? What if I don't? And all that emotion came out in the video, I'm sure, and you shared that. But once you were done, I'm sure you felt a sense of relief, right? I mean, that's
Completely.
you felt the lightness is how you put it in our conversation before.
Yes.
And I wonder if the advice to people out there that have some trauma from work situations that have built up and they have been unable to share those in the workplace because of a lack of psychological safety or whatever it might be, if it just may be not recording a video necessarily, but examining what the emotions are, maybe writing them down some way so that when they get to the workplace, they can be more effective at sharing it and being more vulnerable at work. What do you think?
I would say that this was my path as well. So
Mhm.
I sought professional help. I talked with people that also work in the personal development. The grandmother of my younger daughter also hosts retreats, and maybe 1 or 2 weeks before me sharing the video, she hosted a retreat around identity.
Mhm.
And I went there and I did my crying, I did my vulnerability in front of other people, so not in a video. And I think all the things that I did before the video actually prepared me and again unloaded that emotional charge of everything that I was living through, so that when I felt, okay, I need to share this because of a practicality, it was not to share because I need to unload this emotional charge on everyone else. Was like, this is happening. I am living two lives. One, what I showed to my professional network, and what I'm living inside. I seek out for help. I went out for help. I worked a little bit on all those things, but now I need to align what I was living inside, what I shared privately, to my professional network, because I felt I was living two different lives, two different processes running in my computer, and they were creating noise because they were in completely different frequencies, almost like they were accessing memory on different speeds. And we know when we put two memory slots on different frequencies, sometimes even from a different manufacturer, but at the same frequency, you will have glitches, blue screens, and this is what I was feeling. Like I need to align all these components so that I stop living different versions of myself depending on where I am and who's in front of me.
Right. No, it makes a lot of sense. I certainly feel it. I'm smiling and laughing because it resonates a lot with me. The two lives, the conundrum that you want to be as authentic as you can, no matter where you are, but the unwillingness to share too much, right? Because it may be a burden for others, or it may be,
Yeah.
maybe I just don't want to reveal it because I'm ashamed, or it's too private, or whatever it might be. And so there is a balance there, I think, for every individual, knowing how much to share, what to share, but just being authentic, I think, is probably a good message to carry into the new year. How can you be as authentic as you can so that you don't tax your brain and your psyche too much, having to live two lives? That is difficult,
Yeah.
or three lives, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And for people who may not have experienced this before, but I think if people are around our age, they are probably experienced this already. It's almost like when you are learning a new language, and in the beginning, you're still translating in real time in your brain. So you feel how the communication is not fluid because you listen in a new language, you translate in your head, then you understand this message, you create a response in your own language, and then you translate back to this new language that you want to communicate.
Yeah.
And then with practice, it comes a moment where you're not translating in your head anymore. You're actually thinking in English. For example, I'm thinking in English now. I'm not thinking in Portuguese and translating in my head. So I can be more truthful and more authentic and even more agile because there is not translation happening while we speak. And
Right.
this is what was happening to me. I was like communicating with someone, and then processing things in a different language in my mind, which is I'm not okay. And then I had to adapt to no, I cannot share that I'm not okay. I need to share that I'm okay or not indicate that I'm not okay. So it became a full-blown confusion and unsustainable in long term for sure.
1 second. Just have a comment here. I'm going to see if there's
from
for you.
from Drew.
Yeah. Here's a question from Drew. What are some ways that someone who might feel awkward about vulnerability could experiment with it in a more psychologically safe way?
Well, if we take into consideration the Agile approach to things or the hypothesis-driven approach to things, you start small. Right? I would not suggest everyone to, hey, record a video and share on all your social media just and see how it goes. Depending on how you feel about experiments, this may be your way to go. But I would look for those inner circles that are literally smaller. And the most inner circle that you can create would be not even 101. It's just one with yourself. Like writing to you, what exactly is that you're feeling? What I feel is that I was thinking a lot of things, feeling a lot of things, but I was not placing it out there. So I started to bring it out in paper first so that I could see things outside myself, because now they are on paper. They are written. I can read them. It's almost like I'm unloading all these things to the canvas, to the paper, the physical world. And that itself is a first step. Yeah. Then I would progress to a one-on-one process. Either a friend that you feel comfortable with, or if you don't feel psychologically safe with people that you know, a professional, a coach, a therapist, a psychologist, a trainer. Sometimes you go to the hair salon, you go to your barber and you unload your stuff. So that would be this really small circle. And then from that, exploring slightly bigger circles. You have group therapy or group development process, retreats, personal development courses. So I did this step by step, and I felt that my next step would be, okay, I need to bring this to the big audience of my professional life. What exactly is happening? Also because I knew I was not alone in this, and maybe this would resonate and help other people as well.
That's great. I think it will. Being this close to Christmas, we have a relatively small audience, but I'm sure this video will be watched over and over again, along with any clips that come out of it. I want to shift to one of the topics that we talked about in preparation for this episode. The feeling that Agile wasn't everything you wanted, right? You needed to bring together surf, coding, dance, psychology, neuroscience. For people that feel constrained by their labels, what is the cost, in your opinion, what is the cost of staying in that box? And what gave you permission to break out?
First, I would question myself, am I happy with that label? And I was not happy with that label. I don't think there's anything wrong with labels per se. I think what matters is, are you happy with what you are living? Do you feel excited going to work? Do you feel excited working? Do you go back from work at the end of the day and you feel like, hey, I made a difference. I contributed to a better world or to more profit, whatever is your jam. If you feel satisfied with that, then what I'm going to say next doesn't apply to you, because it doesn't mean that you need to do this just because I did it. I did it because I was not happy. I was feeling like I was contributing, but I didn't feel whole. I didn't feel that I brought everything that I enjoy doing on what I was doing. So my work was just 15% of me. And so the happiness was 15% in my equation. I started wondering, how can I bring my happiness in what I do closer to 100%? And one of the topics that I liked to study was this concept of how to feel happiness. And one of the references was the work of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who studied the concept of happiness, stumbled upon athletes and artists who would feel they were in the zone while they were performing their craft or baking or whatever it was, the actual craft, and had a correlation, which is the more people feel this zone, this timeless experience where they fuse with the medium they are working, with the task, they lose sense of self, of time, of physical needs, the more happy these people would indicate that their lives were. And I was not feeling like that. So I said, okay, maybe it's because I'm not bringing everything that I enjoy doing it. And even the tech side of things as well. Because while you are coding, if you have the conditions, you can enter this state flow. So I started wondering, how can I actually bring everything that I like to my work or to my time, even if it's not only work, so that I can experience more these moments of flow? And would that correlate to my happiness? So it was also an experiment that I decided to start because I was feeling unhappy and I was not happy with that label of Agile only.
So would you say that was the birth of the Abundance Flow program?
That would be the birth of the process that unleashed the birth of Abundance Flow. Because, so a lot of things happen. Yes, there was a flow in the flow. The Abundance Flow project was born because after trying out many different things of integrating these multiple parts of me and also make a living, because I have 2 daughters, I have bills to pay.
Yeah.
Things didn't work out. And my sister said to me that she was also struggling in this department, despite being an amazing worker. She's an architect, a decorator, garden designer. So it's not because she doesn't have skills or dedicate herself in what she does. So I said to her, let's figure out this problem together. So abundance is a theme that is close to our heart because of many family stories. We are struggling on that particular area, the finance, abundance. The best way I can work through a problem is by brainstorming and working together with other people. So what if I create a cohort that will also want to work on this topic, and I'm leading the process because I'm a facilitator by heart? I will also learn throughout the way. So the Abundance Flow project came to respond on a really specific need that was the consequence of starting this unlabeling process and figuring out, what do I actually enjoy doing it?
Yeah, that's amazing. So the way I understand the program, it frames scarcity not as the enemy of abundance, but as a part of the natural cycle, like flat days and stormy days and surfing, right? You got waves and other days where you got waves and you can go surf. How does seeing these as states rather than permanent conditions change how people navigate this cycle of disruption and rebirth?
I like this saying that goes a little bit like, what you resist, persist. So if you are going through a scarce moment in any area of your life, in finance, in health, in relationships, friendships, whatever it is, if you resist it or if you deny it, it's just going to take longer to pass. This is my belief. So what you can do about it? Well, if you're experiencing something, or at least I believe that if I'm experiencing something in life, it's because I can learn or confirm the next step forward. So as soon as I see almost like a failure in an Agile project, not as a failure, but as a learning opportunity, so the financial scarcity that I'm living can be a learning opportunity, can also be a moment for prioritization. I don't have money to spend on multiple things. So what is the actual important things that really matter to me? It can also trigger creativity. I don't have 50 euros every day to buy fancy ingredients to cook food, but I still want to enjoy what I'm eating. How can I creatively cook while on a budget to also encourage my daughters to eat their broccolis or whatever it is that I'm making for them that it's healthy? So scarcity, or as the necessity, brings out ingenuity, right? And scarcity is necessity in the area that you're living. So financial scarcity is financial necessity. So financial necessity bring financial ingenuity.
It's a really good way of looking at it. I don't know that people necessarily think of it that way or really examine their lives to see how they can thrive in times of scarcity, right? Maybe thrive isn't the most appropriate word, but just survive, right? So what can you give up? What is really important? You know, how do you prioritize the things that make you happy, right? While living in with scarcity in some aspect of your life. So right now you're connecting with everyone, right? You're trying different things. Even people that offer you jobs in a bakery, just to experiment and see what resonates with you, what makes you happy, what pulls you in. How do you distinguish between genuine discovery and just avoiding the fear of committing to the wrong thing? You know, if that's an issue.
From my experience, it becomes an issue when that decision comes solely from my head. So whenever I'm faced with those big decision moments, of course I ponder through the pros and cons of the choices, but ultimately I try to connect with what I feel it's my heart, because I believe that the really difficult questions about existence are not answered by your mind, are answered by your gut and your heart. Your mind can orchestrate this process and provide arguments for one side or the other. But whenever I'm really needing to choose a path, after exploring cognitively, I will try to connect with what my heart really, really desires. For example, there was this project, I don't know if I told you this, which is basically an organization that provides volunteers to pick up children on a path to school with their bikes. So it organizes almost like a collective bike trip to school.
Wow, that's amazing.
and they are adding technology to improve how they organize the routes and the check-ins and the checkouts.
Yeah.
And once this friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, would you like to be a volunteer on that project?" My heart felt like, wow, this is an opportunity for even me to connect with my daughters, because their path goes through the house, either from my house or from my ex-wife's house, and they would love this kind of experience. So it was an easy yes, for sure, because in my heart I felt that it was the right choice. And of course, it doesn't require me to be locked in that project full time. It only happens really early in the morning. So even if I go for another process or start even a 9 to 5, I can correlate that. I can live that through as well. So the mind made the logical evaluation, but the final decision came from my heart. It didn't came from my mind.
That's a good bit of advice to follow. Right? Follow your heart, follow your gut. It's not just about what makes sense in your head, but also it has to make sense to your heart. Your passion, your whatever that may be. I personally find myself following my heart a lot, and I get into a lot of different projects that at the time feel like the right thing to do. And that's always a tough place to be, because you only have so many hours in the day and so much energy to give these projects, and so that can be a challenge. And so for me, I think in the new year, it's looking at all the things that I have going on and applying maybe a scarcity model, a scarcity mindset to it, to prioritize what really do I want to do that's going to make me happy, right, and make others and be rewarding to me. All right. I wanted to end this with, well, unless there's other things that you wanted to talk about, end this with a question. So you walked away from traditional Agile coaching. You've ended your marriage amicably. You restructured your relationship with your daughters. Maybe you're biking with them in the mornings to school, which is amazing. I love that that opportunity that came by. You publicly acknowledge your financial struggles, and yet you say you feel grateful, right? So for someone in the middle of their own disruption, what does success look like when you're rising from the ashes, when you're sort of reinventing yourself from this disruption?
So when you said rising from the ashes, everything is a choice, right? What life presents you may be a consequence of your own choices, or may be something completely out of your control. And here in Portugal, during summer, we have a lot of problems with forest fires, right? Who decimate fauna, decimate houses, a lot of harm in many multiple ways. But in the eyes of nature, after the fire comes a moment to rebirth. All the things that were burned become food and nutritions for the next generation of vegetation, and even the new animals that are going to be living there. So the first thing that I feel is that when you burn everything, or when you sell everything that you have to have money to buy food, yes, you are losing stuff that you may hold dear. But if we think just about physical space, you are cleaning the space for whatever new needs to come and will come. So it's an opportunity for you to start anew. Just like in my life as a coder, one of the things that I enjoyed the most was having the permission to do a full refactor where I could take a legacy code and just throw it in the garbage to start new, because you do not restart from where you were before, because you're not the same individual. You accumulated knowledge, you accumulated experience, you know how you could do things differently now. So it is an opportunity to have a blank state and just reshape easily than to have a reshaping or remodeling process while still keeping everything that you had before. So that's my main motivation. And because I cannot mess around much, Kumar, with 2 daughters, life's got another perspective, right? I'm not only doing this for myself, I'm doing this also to show them different behaviors, different ways of being that hopefully will prevent some of the mistakes that I made. Maybe this will be positive or negative, who knows? But this is also my responsibility as a father, as someone who's going to place 2 individuals out there in the world, and how to prepare them better for these kinds of situations. I cannot hear you, Kumar. I think you're muted, sorry.
Yeah, I muted myself because there's somebody out there mowing the yard, and I don't know if the sound made it through the mic, but
Cleaning the environment to
that's right.
raise new stuffs.
It's always a cycle of rebirth, right? Everywhere you see, winter, all the leaves fall off, and then only to
Yes.
be born again in the spring when new leaves come.
Yes.
New shoots of grass and plants and all this stuff. Yeah, it is certainly that way. So, in that spirit, what's next for you in 2026?
What's next for me in 2026? More organization.
Mm.
I am building my own frameworks and tools to alleviate the logistical processes that were also put aside because of everything that I was living. And so I want to make things better and start the year more organized. I'm also planning new retreats here in Portugal, Lisbon, bringing all of this that I have been experiencing in the recent past and also the things that I already know work and bring power to the transformation and the experiences like surfing, mentoring, psychology of expressive arts, neuroscience. So that's definitely on the calendar. And luckily enough, and I'm going to share this soon, I already got a coaching client out of this whole confusion, a training project to a big organization, and more people are going to speak with me. I already have things booked in the calendar. So hopefully the rebirth process already started, and it's just going to be a lot of surfing in many different ways in the water, outside of the water for 2026.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure it will. You are an amazing person, a very talented person, very open person, and I'm sure you will start to fill in the space in a way that fulfills you and others, right? The people that you serve, that you coach, that you train, that you work with. So how can people connect with you and learn about Abundance Flow?
So LinkedIn is definitely a place to be. I can definitely do. I normally host, Drew, discussions for online groups. It is something that has also been cooked with someone that I met after sharing my current moment, where we share this passion for leadership in tech as well. So stay tuned to that. On my LinkedIn, you have my call link where you can basically book a chat with me with no justification. I love to talk. I love to share and to listen to others as well. I am rebuilding my website, which was also something that I didn't have before, and it made total sense to do it now. Mm-hmm. So that would be the places: LinkedIn, Instagram, call link, and my website for sure.
All right. We'll make sure we include those links in the show notes for this episode when it goes on the podcast. Anything else you'd like to share before we end today?
Yes, I would like to wish everyone, independent of location, upbringing, education, religion, whatever it is, not only the end of the year is a moment for new beginnings. Every day, every minute, every millisecond is a moment for new beginnings. And if you don't feel like you are currently capable of doing this alone, then reach out for help, because at the other side of that movement of asking for help, there is no shame, there is no wrong. It's the opposite, or at least this is what I experienced. There's only gratitude, openness, fellow like-minded people that may be going through the same things as you, and we give up when we lose hope, not when we despair. And if you are trembling on your hope for better days, don't suffer alone. Reach out. Even if it's just sending me a message saying, hey, I am losing hope. Let's have a chat.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Hafa, for being on the show and just sharing your inspiring message, and just for your presence. It's very inspiring, comforting, and I love that you're on the show, especially this time of the year, end of the year, new beginnings in the new year. And I love what you said. Every day, every millisecond is really a chance for you to be reborn. And those people are right outside my window, so I'm sure you're hearing it.
Yes, they are contributing for the rebirth of their grass.
That's right. Yeah, actually, they're blowing leaves and doing other stuff. So anyway, so with that, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you all in the new year. It'll be an end of the year episode next week, but it'll just be a compilation of the most impactful for me episodes throughout the year, which this is definitely going to be up there.
Well, thank you so much, Kumar. Speak to you soon, and have a great holidays, okay?
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.